Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Wes Warren. I'm here with Greg Stanley, and today we're talking about the thing that we get a lot. People call and ask us, "How do I get more new patients?" It's very common, and it's kind of the go-to, that doctors think of in terms of wanting to grow their practice. But the topic today is, do you really want more new patients? Do you really want more patients, meaning work? Or do you just want more money? Do you actually just want to produce more and net more? Which one? Far too often, I believe it's the latter. People just want to do better financially. They want to see their practice grow. I do believe there's part of them that wants more patients, but I would say that the vast majority, Greg, are going to fall in the area of, hey, I just want to produce more. Can you give me your thoughts on this?
Well, it's one thing we've noticed is watching doctors who need growth. They need more revenue. So we start talking about marketing and more new patients and really flooding the practice with patients. And a lot of them get a funny look on their face that took me a while to read. What it is, they don't really want more work. And it's not really that they want more money. They need more money. They
Yeah.
need revenue. But man, the way they're doing it with the number of patients they're doing it with, it's wearing them out. A lot of our clients, Wes, are kind of coming to that age where they like to talk about associates. They like to talk about selling their practice. They like to talk about these things, but sometimes they're not really ready to do them. But one thing that has happened, their energy has been reduced dramatically. Sure, they get out of bed in the morning, maybe even at the same time, dress up, get ready, go to work. When a patient misses their appointment or cancels, it's almost like good news. But at the end of the day, we got to pay our bills. So as energy goes down, and it's not the only, in other words, physically getting older isn't the only cause of this. Let me give an example of what I'm talking about. With staff, we work to motivate them with treating them good, giving a bonus, all of that. And they tend to really light up. A doctor can run into problems. Let me explain. Things that can completely deflate them, like a balloon with a giant knife gash in it. Yeah, they can get older, that's one, but they can actually have a sense of almost giving up. I'm 60. For the last 15 years, my net's gone down just a little bit every year. In other words, like staff used to say to us, there's nothing in it for us. There's no bonus. A doctor's the same way. If the doctor owner goes on long enough, it can kind of become hopeless. When that happens, it's another shot between the eyes of energy. They have less energy because what's in it for me?
You mean they've gone on long enough where there is no raise for them, or maybe even gone backwards a little bit in net revenue. And so it's like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I'm making the same. They kind of lose your excitement.
And if they're making the same money they've been making over a decade, which the industry went a long time with that actually going down, but if they're making the same money, it's almost like less money because of inflation. So low profitability, in other words, low reward,
Right.
can leave them just the same as getting too old, where their energy goes away. It's like their interest, their enthusiasm goes away. Here's another one. And there's a long list that you could add to this, but I would call it hopeless financial overwhelm. Maybe he's 55, 58 and getting a divorce. And for whatever reason, they're dividing everything up, and it's going to cost them an unimaginable amount of money. And this leaves them thinking, what's the point?
Yeah.
I'll never dig out of this hole. Maybe, it's the same. I've seen it happen before with bad investments. For example, maybe they were good investments once, maybe like real estate or whatever, and then it all goes down, and all of a sudden they've got half what they did, or just this feeling of what the heck, what's the use? And that draws their energy out of what they've got to do today. And that's when they say, yeah, I want more patients. Yeah. And they wave that banner, the new patient banner, but down deep, they aren't feeling it. They just want to get out of the hole they're in. Here's another one. And this one's an interesting one. I've tried everything in my area to grow, but nothing works. There's really a lot to that. You can think you've tried everything, but I'll make you an ironclad promise that if we brought somebody in from certain areas that we've worked with, they would make your area blossom. For example, maybe they're in an area where the factories have shut down, there's bad insurance or no insurance, and they have a way, they figured out the way. Like I remember Gary Cameron in South Carolina or North Carolina, the same, right? He was in an area that really shouldn't have thrived, and he thrived really beyond expectation because he kind of embraced a different model of dentistry, and he used a lot of operatories, and he thrived when everything pointed to he should give up, and he actually turned his situation around. Here's another reason that people give up. Retirement is imminent. This one bothers me because we first didn't see it with retirement. We first saw it with people who were planning on selling their practices and moving to another area and probably restarting. Once they knew they were going to sell, it's like somebody kicked the door out from under the gallows. I mean, they were swinging by the noose, no energy. How do I get re-excited about something that has no payoff for me? So building a practice that you're going to sell right away, you know what? If you don't build it, it sells for a fraction of what you would have got for it. So in other words, it's kind of a trap. Here's another one. Too much competition. You can roll into an area and be the king of the hill. You can be the lord of the manor. And all of a sudden, you wake up one day and a third of your patients are gone. And you notice that people are marketing, and while you've gone around saying that marketing's pointless, brings the wrong kind of people, well, somebody's actually drawing people out of your practice. And we have when we say there's too much competition or a lot of competition, this isn't arbitrary. This is numerical. For example, I saw a statistic that has kind of held true. It was by the ADA or one of those groups about how many patients per doctor, how many patients it takes to support a doctor, or what's normal. And normal was 1,250 people. And that proved to be very prophetic. When we saw areas that had less than that, I had an area with 200, another one with 250 people per dentist. I mean, it was just like a bar fight with the lights out. It was a slugfest trying to get patients, advertising cheap this, cheap that, discount, membership. Everybody was going that direction, and it was tough, and it wears you out. Because not only do you have to come up with what works, you have to keep inventing what works. Because there's people, your competitors down the street are up late at night with their lights on, figuring out how to convert people, how to attract people. They're having giveaways. They've got Elon Musk himself, on Twitter working for him. They've got all this digital market. They've got stuff you had never thought you would have to resort to. And so here's the question: when do you get to coast? When do you get to just stop and say, I just don't have it in me to keep doing this? Let me add one more. If this hasn't been enough of people that finally say, I don't really want more work. I don't want more patients. I just want bigger patients or better patients, or bigger cases. One is, and this will burn a doctor out faster than anything, it's staff turnover. You get enough staff turnover or staff departure where they just leave, like during the pandemic. And as you're standing around, either you can't get somebody to even answer your ad, or the ones that do actually frighten you, make you think you should carry a weapon. The staff you get, maybe you get all the positions filled, the training isn't there, the culture's gone, and you have to ask yourself, do I have it in me to do this one more time? And what a lot of doctors have told me is, I could do it for a while.
Right.
I'd have to see a quick end in sight. Brings up the topic. First of all, do you have any you want to add to this list? Did I get them all?
No, yeah, they're all there, every single one. Why you'd want to produce more. So a lot of people are in situations where they have to, but they're at a point in their career where they look at it and go, geez, I don't want to really produce more. It's kind of double-edged sword, so yeah, I can see how you can get there very easily.
I mentioned divorce. That's where you have to dig deep to give the person who hates you more than anybody on the planet everything they can think of. You'd think that would be the end of it, but it doesn't end there. There's a new person in your life who has hopes and dreams. And so sometimes you're trying to put out both of these fires at the same time. And so you can end up in a situation where you feel, what's the point? Overwhelmed. This brings up the topic of what Wes and I do.
Solutions, yeah.
We deal with this all day, every day. And what we use as one solution, there are others, is that we get one or more associates who want an opportunity. And let's face it, in your 35 or 40 years of dentistry, you've learned a lot. And they've been in 4 or 6 months. They could benefit from what you have learned. So we bring in associates. We have a period of 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, some even longer. But because we know how to put together a staff, a marketing plan, how to convert marketing patients, in other words, you've got all this going for you, an associate doctor with that energy that comes with being 35 or 37 or whatever can get plugged into your practice. And before you know it, like maybe 6 months, 18 months, you're taking a day off. And next you're taking another day off. And this is when it catches for you. We're going, wow, I can actually enjoy going in now for the time I've got, because you got associates helping you cover the overhead, helping you solve some of these financial problems that seem so overwhelming. You're building value. In other words, you're back in the game.
Right.
So this idea that you have to give up in dentistry, maybe there's a reason to do that, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen a reason or a problem that we haven't seen other people solve successfully. They're in bad areas, bad insurance, no jobs, no nothing, but they find a way. So before you conclude that, think that over.
Yeah, the associate route is probably the best option for most of our doctors. There are some others. The associate route is one that gives you lots of longevity, a lot of time off, lots of flexibility with your schedule, and can really, extend, not only extend your career, but make the last part of your career more enjoyable. We actually deal with doctors who don't go the associate route. I'll tell you, the last 3 or 4 years can be quite tiring for them. And when I say ready to sell, I mean, they're like, I'm counting down the days. And it's because it's become, I don't say a drag, but physically a drag. And with an associate, it just doesn't happen. We just don't see the same response near
the same wear and tear.
Right, exactly. So
Wes, we were talking about some things that could leave you feeling hopeless. Let me add one to the list as if you needed another one. It's what I call the point of no return. You've reached a point in your practice with a bad idea. Maybe you were going to try something interesting. You were going to make it off perio through hygiene. And it didn't, not only did you not reach all your goals, you destroyed your practice. It was like it hit a brick wall at 100 miles an hour. There are things you can do: pushing patients, bad consumerism. Bad consumerism is staff uh, that are rude to people. It's just who they are, but there's some reason you can't fire them. And between bad perio, bad consumerism, whatever, uh, your practice has been put through a grinder. I don't know if you've seen those videos on TikTok where they feed different things into these grinders. Have you seen this, Wes?
Yep.
I mean, they feed in a trash can, then they feed in a dumpster, and they feed in all this stuff. And finally, it's your practice going in there and little bits of blood and bone coming out the bottom. It has been destroyed. And you literally, now, when you resurrect it, when you bring this practice back, or you attempt to, it takes energy. There's always a high energy curve starting out. So you got to restart your practice. But you've learned a lot in the process. One of the things you've learned what not to do, but you also learned some other good things. And so you'd have to start over again. And my suggestion to this person would be not wait till your practice is buried with patients before you would consider an associate. Some people don't do associates, and Wes, you see this all the time. How could I fill an associate? I can't keep my schedule full. One thing
Yeah.
is you don't want your schedule full. You're tired.
Right. That's the number one reason, and usually it's unfounded when we dive in and find all the low-hanging fruit that's not being exploited. That there's actually plenty to feed an associate, maybe not full time, but certainly 1 or 2 days a week, and just that can give you a whole new lease on life. And when you want to take a week off, they can fill in the extra days. I mean, it changes the whole dynamic of your energy levels. Yeah. So,
Right. So this idea, well, first of all, people don't call Wes and I because they're doubling every 18 months. They call us because they're seeing their energy bleed out and their income is stuck either at an inadequate level or maybe they're actually going down. Uh, how long do you see, Wes, when people really take hold, how long do you see it turning around for them?
each practice is a little different, but I would say for sure under a year, usually 6 months or less. There are occasions where it can take 9 months, but somewhere in that time frame is realistic. We have people, yeah, it's the first month. We were just talking with a client today. First month, second month, they're hitting records, yeah, it can happen, but realistically, I would say 3 to 7 month range is when you'll see it kind of turn around for you.
Dr. Peterson was talking to me about one of his clients, and he did the wood chipper. He destroyed his practice. He showed every person that came through the door a $75,000 case. And the word went out, whatever you do, don't go there. I mean, it's until fine. And he was in a fairly small community. And Dr. Peterson kind of held his hand while they built back that practice. And that fellow was in his 60s.
Yeah.
He went to a seminar somewhere, got the big idea that, or you know how a lot of times it happens? One person comes in and says, I want about $75,000 worth of dentistry. And you
Well,
go, wow, that worked. So
it's also, Greg, it's the title of, there's two ways to go. One is, get more patients. The other is to get more from them, the ones you've got, and so obviously bigger cases are a lot easier to do than doing a bunch of little cases. One giant $70,000 case is a lot easier than doing a bunch of 70 small cases. So the other way to go here is to actually maximize big case opportunities. And so and people that go this route can take it too far, and that's what you're talking about, where they actually over rev the practice, over rev the patient base, too aggressive. And they're essentially trying to solve this problem. I'm getting tired. I don't want to work at this pace. I'd like to do bigger cases. And they they go about it the wrong way. Let's put it that way. There's a whole different
Another
style of
thing,
practice.
they find, number one, that the marketing cost of filling a big case practice almost offsets the whatever was gained. Number two, when they go to sell it, it's almost unsellable.
Yeah, the big case practice is great while you own it. It's low volume, so it's easier paced for you. Usually there's a larger net component, usually, because you don't need as many staff to produce. There's a marketing element that's the trick. And that's the thing that you got to get right. Just saying, hey, I'm going to be big cases now, and then turning on your patient base and trying to convince them to do large cases does not work. And that's where you get this wood chipper thing of your own practice. You have to go market for people that are specifically looking to do to catch up on their dentistry, to deal with their TMJ, to do supported denture cases, and that kind of thing. You got to actually go hunt for these people. And that's the marketing element. And yeah, when you start out, you're going to be throwing, I'd say, fairly big dice, 5,000-10,000 a month in marketing to launch it and get it really off the ground. And it's kind of a leap of faith in the beginning. So yeah, that's kind of the big case angle, and that's a way to go. But like you said, Greg, it's unsaleable and you are still tied to it. You can't take a break. It comes right out of your net when you take a break.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some drawbacks to the big case thing. It's what's really nice is having the big case practice kind of evolving and starting to get going, and you move over there and you bring in the associate and they start handling the kind of the bread and butter dentistry, and you kind of be for sake of the word, a specialist in your own practice, where you're just dealing with sedation cases or implants or things like that. And that's a really nice way to go, especially if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Let's go back to our original premise. Do you want more patients or do you want more money? Well, you actually can get better patients.
Yeah.
Better patients take less wear and tear. The marketing world knows how to do that. It does cost money. You're going to pay $150 to $200 a patient to get them through the door. But that can be done, takes less wear and tear. And as far as the more money, Wes just gave you, I think, a winning formula. Have the associates grinding the grist, doing the basics, the bread and butter, the crown bridge, and you do the
higher end stuff, the specialty
implants,
stuff,
all of
right.
that. And that is pretty sustainable. We hear so much about that term these days. In dentistry, that's what it looks like. That's what sustainability looks like.
It's the dream scenario, really is. You're dealing with a handful of patients every month. You're probably producing what you're producing now, and you're dealing with a fraction of the people. You're taking a week off a month, maybe cutting down a day a week, that kind of thing, and still hitting the numbers you're used to hitting. And then you've got an associate over here producing the rest of the practice, or maybe even two, like you said, two part-time associates grinding out the bread and butter. It's the perfect scenario, really is.
Right. So do you really want more patients? You probably want good patients for sure. And and because they're good patients, you probably will do better and there'll be more money. And with the associate, it'll buy you the time off you need to survive this period of what seems to be unsolvable, hopeless. And you might wake up 3-4 years later and realize it's not hopeless. These debts actually started paying down. It's all back on the table. Your life is back. Wes, that's what I had to say about that. I'm glad we covered that topic because I see so many people on the verge of giving up.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a solution. If you're interested, definitely get on our schedule, talk with us, join our mastermind group. You'll get a couple emails after this to either, if you want to talk with us about these issues, you can jump on our schedule. Like I've always said, we always hold a couple spots every week to talk to people that listen to our webinars. And at the very least, join our mastermind group. It's $20 a month. There's a lot of great information there. So look out for those emails. All right.
Well,
Thanks for listening.